Welcome to Oregon Voters Digest, the program that brings forward the social and political issues that are important to people living here in the Pacific Northwest. And now, your host, Bruce Broussard.
Hello, you're watching another episode of Oregon Voters Digest. My name is Teresa Griffin Kennedy, and I am here today with my husband, Don DuPay. I'm going to be hosting the first 15 minutes of the show. And basically today's show is going to be a little different. We're going to be responding to an allegation made by another individual who also has a cable access television show here at Open Signal. And his name is Paul Stanford. July 15th, 2017, Paul Stanford aired his show, Cannabis Common Sense. And at the 5207 mark of his show, he made an allegation against my husband, Don. So I'm going to read his statement. Verbatim. He was discussing his recent legal problems and basically went on a kind of a meandering rant about how it has nothing to do with any mistakes he's made in his life and how it's all a conspiracy by other people. He said, and I quote, and this was from the televised program July 15th, "You know, we were infiltrated by a fella named Don DuPay, who was a Portland police homicide detective. And he appeared on this show for a number of years before he came out against marijuana legalization. And we took him off the show, but he was a Portland police detective, and he appears on other people's cable access shows sometimes. But he really illustrates the level that these people work with the police, the spies, the spooks. It's really this secret government deep state that has targeted me. I am what is known as a targeted individual. I am being attacked on multiple levels." This was the statement that Paul Stanford made July 15th. And I can't begin to express how comical I found his rant, and it comes across as incredibly paranoid. I want to state, first of all, that I'm Don's wife, and I'm here with my husband, and we're writers and authors, and we're incredibly busy with our writing projects. My husband Don's been working on a novella for the past 18 months called Frank's Revenge After Midnight that will be published this year. I have 2 manuscripts I'm working on. One is a collection of fiction, and it's called Burnside Field Lizard and Collected Stories. Another is a collection of personal narrative essays, and it's called, tentatively titled, We Learned to Live in That Castle Stories. That's what we've been doing for the past, few years. Number one, I think it's important to address the claims that Stanford has made because all of his allegations are false. Don did not infiltrate Cannabis Common Sense TV show. He was asked by Paul Stanford to join the TV show as co-host, and he did co-host Cannabis Common Sense for approximately 4.5 years. Don is a longtime supporter of medical marijuana and never at any time came out against legalization of medical marijuana. Don has not been affiliated with the Portland Police Bureau or any other law enforcement agency since his resignation from the Portland Police Bureau in April of 1978. We did a little research, and I found some sources on the internet, some articles. There was an article that I think it was written by James Pitkin from Willamette Week. It was written in 2007 about Paul Stanford. It's called King Bong, and it details his history of fraud and his history of conning people out of thousands and thousands of dollars that goes back 25 and 30 years. There's a section of the article that reads, "The success of the Oregon Medical Marijuana Act in 1998 prompted Microsoft millionaire Bill McKinney to try to legalize dope in Washington state. In 1999, he gave Stanford $100,000 to start a campaign, but in a federal lawsuit filed in Portland the following year, he claimed $63,000 disappeared while in Stanford's hands. A judge found McKinney's claim was mostly right, and in 2003 ordered Stanford to pay back $39,000, including $4,200 Stanford had allegedly spent on a Ford Thunderbird. Stanford says he never paid." There's another section of that article that reads, "McKinney, now a real estate developer in Silver City, blasted Stanford in an email to Willamette Week. Now remember, this article was written in 2007, so that's 10 years ago. Basically, Stanford is a thief, McKinney wrote. He makes a living taking advantage of drug reformers and stealing their money. There is some debate about whether Stanford is consciously a crook or if he is a sincere reformer who just can't separate his own personal interests from the interests of the organizations he works for. Either way, he has a long history of deceit and betrayal. My husband, Don, was also used as a source for that article, and this section of the article reads, Don DuPay, a marijuana advocate who worked at Stanford's clinic for a year starting in 2006, says chaos prevailed. He's always one step away from disaster, says DuPay, who lost a run for Multnomah County Sheriff in 2006. Bouncing payroll checks is one of the things that pissed me off. He's too unstable for me to be around. Now that was the quote from Don. There's also the issue that if Don or I were in cahoots with any law enforcement agency, which we're not, trust me, why would Don have written an article? He wrote an editorial a couple of months ago called Liar, Liar, Badge on Fire about the current chief of police. So it stands to reason that if Don wrote that article, that editorial, and published it to his website, why would he do that if he was in cahoots with the Portland Police Bureau or the DEA or any other law enforcement agency? It's simply not logical. He also wrote an article, an editorial called Snake in the Grass about his experiences. Don wrote this article about his experiences being hassled by the DEA and having his home broken into by the DEA. And when it comes to the cable access show, Cannabis Common Sense, Paul Stanford didn't tell Don that he couldn't co-host the show because he had infiltrated Paul Stanford's program. Don had been, do you want to explain what happened that led to that?
Well, there were some problems with the DEA, and I called one of their agents a bald-headed punk.
Matthew...
whatever his name was, I don't remember now. But
Matthew Petty. Matthew Petty.
I called him a bald-headed punk because he was, and after that, Ann Whitty, who was Paul Stanford's attorney, suggested that in a telephone call, I probably shouldn't come back to the show anymore because the DEA was mad at me, and now they would be looking unfavorably at Mr. Stanford.
So basically what happened is the DEA was breathing fire down Paul Stanford's neck. So instead of standing up for his supposed friend, he had Ann Whitty call Don and say, Don, you can't host the show anymore. So it had nothing to do with Don being a double agent or a spy or anything like that. I'd also like to point out in Paul Stanford's recent program that he uses some really interesting language here, which I found interesting. He talks about the deep state that has targeted him, and he talks about these people work with the police, the spies, and the spooks. Now, I'm curious what he means by spooks. Paul Stanford has been accused of racism more than once, and to me that term is a little dubious. So maybe on his future episodes of Cannabis Common Sense he can explain what he meant by spooks. But I wanted to clear this up because I don't appreciate anyone casting aspersions on my husband's character and trying to accuse my husband of something he simply has not done. We are too busy with our writing. The bottom line is we couldn't care less about Paul Stanford or Cannabis Common Sense. I'm not interested in the medical marijuana movement. I support people who need to use medical marijuana because it's necessary. It's not something I'm interested in. I can't even express how boring it is to me personally. I'm interested in my writing, in interviewing writers and authors and poets and painters on this show when I'm able to host the show. Those are my interests. You know, our interests are simply our writing and our lives. It has nothing to do with, Paul Stanford and his recent troubles with the law, which go back 30 years. So
I need to say that I haven't watched the Cannabis Show for several years, many years. And one of my spies told me that my name had been mentioned by Paul Stanford and we needed to talk about that. It's interesting that he would see me as a deep state conspirator when, in fact, I was raided by the DEA twice.
Right.
And I was also arrested by the Portland police on a humbug charge. So,
which was later thrown out of court.
Which was thrown out of court, and then my articles about the chief of police being a liar, badge on fire. I don't think that sets very well as a deep state problem for me.
Yeah.
The problem is Mr. Stanford is suffering the results of years of bad karma, and now he's to the point where he's seeing spooks. He's seeing George Soros is after him.
Right, George Soros is after him. George Soros doesn't even know who he is.
All of a sudden, Don DuPay is against him.
Right.
I'm sorry, but that's just a lot of nonsense.
When you mentioned your spy, I need to clarify that. About 2 years ago, we were contacted by a man who is probably in his late 50s, early 60s, who is one of many people who had been conned by Paul Stanford. And this man knew people, and I believe he himself lost at least $5,000 or maybe $20,000 at the hands of Paul Stanford. So we were contacted by this guy a couple of years ago out of the blue, and it was right around the time Don published an editorial that he wrote about Paul Stanford, which is available on his writing website, which is called "Why is Paul Stanford Not Being Held Accountable?" So basically, I just want to clarify that we're not interested in his show, we're not interested in his life, we're simply interested in our own life, and I find it hysterically funny that Paul Stanford thinks that Don or myself are trying to make his life difficult, because it is simply not the case. Anyhow, that's my statement for today, and Bruce will take over the rest of the show. Thanks for tuning in.
You are watching Oregon Voters Digest. This program can be seen again on these channels on these dates and times. Tell a friend.
We're talking about all kinds of stuff. Welcome back, folks, to Oregon Voters Digest. I'm Bruce Broussard, your host. Look like we're doing an addition right now. Teresa does a good job, and Don did a good job, and here we got Fred on right now. Here's Fred, a future host, 2 co-hosts, by the way. Welcome aboard, Fred.
Thank you, Bruce.
So we just thought we'd talk about some activities of late, if you will, some highlights and whatever. Maybe we'll begin right off the bat by commending Don for picking up that degree. The oldest person there. You were.
That's right.
Yeah, Don DuPay. That's right.
He was mentioned in the PSU program.
Really was. And I was his tutor for about 4 of those years. Did you appreciate that?
Wouldn't have done it without.
Fine. But anyway, congratulations, Don.
Thank you, sir.
That was very awesome. Very awesome of you. Big time.
I got my degree.
You got the degree. Where's the deal? I thought you was going to bring me a certificate or something to show.
It's framed at home on the wall.
Well, congratulations. You did a good job.
Thank you.
What I thought we'd do now is that we're just going to... Yeah, education.
Education.
Sikh education?
That's my mantra.
Okay, that's good. I like that. Plus the fact he's got his jacket on. As you can see, we also do a little outreach. In fact, Fred over here, he's got his piece on too. He got his cover on. He's got the Marine Corps deal. He's former jarhead, and Don is Navy, and I'm Marine Corps, and whatever. And we're all reaching out to vets, for that matter, and making sure that vets get their benefits. It's very, very important. Please do that, and thanks for serving, guys. Okay, good. So now what we're going to do, we're going to get down and kind of talk about some of the things that are kind of like on the table. We're just kind of a grab bag kind of a deal. I think some of the things that are we won't go national on as far as the presidential race. The only thing I'll say about the presidential race is that I'm just tired of the fashion show on CNN and Fox. CNN, Fox, it's just a fashion show. You know, women are just they're beautiful people. I mean, just beautiful people. But hell, now I understand how fake news got to the table.
Yeah.
Because I don't hear the news. I mean, I don't even want to look because with the fashions and whatever, it just blows your mind. Aspect of it. Any thoughts on that? What do you think about it? You've been seeing you look at the
No, I rarely go to Fox.
Okay, you go to Fox?
I rarely do.
Mm-hmm.
But fake news is everywhere.
That's right. Well, that's the first time I had it, but anyway, that's that point. The other biggie that's out there, I'd like to get a little comments on it, bro. The juice is loose.
Yeah.
The juice is out now. You know, OJ is out.
October 1st.
October 1st
Yeah.
aspect of it. But that was a very interesting piece, though. I mean, the man could have gotten that 30-some-odd years, if you will, for the kind of thing. That was insulting.
That was such BS.
It really was, big time. And the guy spent that 9 years like, that's ridiculous. You know what I mean?
You know, the judge in that case, I hope wherever she's at, she's suffering some cancer or something. Just a worthless woman. What I always hated about it is one of the guys that accused OJ was a lifelong criminal and a registered predatory sex offender. And I said, this shows you how far a white person will go when they hate black people. Because this guy that they took the word against OJ.
Yes.
You understand?
Oh, yeah.
Has a penchant. He said, I guess in court documents, he preferred women under 10 years old. That's
wow.
And this is a guy that used to testify. They gave him immunity because he had committed a crime from stealing the stuff from OJ. Just to file charges against OJ, they give a registered sex offender a predatory sex offender.
Yeah.
You understand? Yeah. Basically a green light, and they took his word over OJ's.
Yeah.
I said,
That's
man,
gotta be karma.
no, it's not karma.
Let me tell you why.
No.
I'll tell you why.
Yeah.
No.
Okay, Don, give it up.
Yeah, give it up.
Give it up, Don. What do you think about
When
that?
they found that Bronco, it had a body bag.
No, it didn't.
Yes, it did.
No, it didn't.
There was a body bag and a shovel.
No, it didn't.
Yes. And that tells me he was going to escape in that.
No.
That's what OJ intended to go to the airport with.
I saw that bag. He wouldn't fit.
No,
Exactly.
Like the gloves.
Exactly.
You
No,
know,
and
I've actually been
followed
doing.
that
I've
trial.
actually been doing some research lately, and there's a real theory about the drug dealing aspect
That's has nothing to do with the point.
of the wife.
The point is,
Maybe
O.J. Simpson planned this, and somewhere up there in the hills is a grave that he was going to put her in.
John, what?
Yes, he was going to
John,
put.
what?
Hey, listen, I'm a detective. I'm telling you what
You're a
happened.
detective.
we don't know what.
There was somewhere up there. There was a grave he was going to put her in, but what happened was there was only one grave. He intended to kill one person. Now she comes along with somebody else. Now he's screwed up. Now he kills two people. That throws the whole timing off.
It's my understanding. Someone
That
didn't pay
throws the
that drug
timing
bill.
off.
That's what I heard.
I don't
I heard
see
somebody
how
didn't pay
a
that
man.
drug
get
bill.
away with
I
it.
don't see how a
It
man
messed up his
can
timing.
run. I don't see how a man that can't run, and OJ couldn't run.
Well, good.
Okay, is gonna carry the dead weight
Yes.
of a 5'7", 135-pound woman to a grave. I mean,
Didn't stop him from killing two people.
well, that's one reason I
Now
don't
he
think
was
he
excited.
You're talking about something that's pretty aggressive. When's the last time you picked up a 135-pound woman?
A long time ago.
A long time ago. Do you remember?
You mean you wouldn't save this lovely
Do
lady?
you remember what a 5'7"? Imagine
yeah.
5'7",
That's pretty heavy.
dead weight, long legs, all bloody. You're gonna grab that and walk it. What was it? About 100 yards? Not even 100 yards. About 50 yards to your truck, and then you're going to put her in there.
You know, I think a lot of why
There's a grave
I
that they haven't
think-
found yet.
I think a lot of why white people think that OJ did it is because when the trial was being televised, Marcia Clark, you know, blood matches defendant. You remember that? And,
Yeah.
and I think that
You know how
there
many
is
good
some-
women get breast cancer every year and that woman's still alive? Jesus. This is one of the reasons why some people have a hard time believing in God.
Okay.
Her and Chris Darden are sucking air. You know how many really good, decent people have died? They're beneficial to the planet Earth, beneficial to the community. And these two people are still sucking air.
I know.
You know?
It's bad.
Yeah. When Chris Darden was here in Portland, some friends of mine wanted me to meet him. I said, no.
You know, I
I
really
may end up going to prison. I don't want to be in the same room with him.
I really thought for years, OJ did it, but I've been reading some links and some sources, and I'm not sure now, because of,
There's a lot of
the
people.
because of the drug dealer and what
Yeah.
Linda said.
Didn't pay his
that
bill.
The drug dealers cut it almost nearly decapitating people.
Well,
I don't know.
To me, it was worthwhile looking into. But I've just looked at the physical aspect
Yeah.
of a human being, and I'm like, you know, there was never enough time to clean the blood up and hide everything as well.
That's right.
But then this whole thing about his knees. I mean, it was like
guy
Michael
could-
Bogdan said, the guy could barely walk, and you watch him walk. I
can't
tell
walk.
people the other day when they were watching him walk said, look at how this guy is walking. You know, he hasn't had a total knee or nothing like that done. I said he wasn't walking very well back in the 90s.
94,
The
yeah.
cameras are watching.
The other thing I got out
Yeah.
of that whole deal was that, like you said, when he washed up at home and this, that, and the other, they pulled every pipe out of that house.
Oh, that's normal.
And scraped it to
Oh,
see if
yeah.
they could
No, that's
find any blood. Not more, but they did.
Yeah.
They took it. They didn't find anything.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the only thing that got me. I mean, I looked at
find
it
the
too.
grave either.
But it's kind of like divide the country again. You know, all of a sudden they're telling OJ, well, OJ, don't talk to anybody. Just go and just take it. Hey, there's no way in the world OJ's going to go out there and talk with his buddies.
You know,
and-
nobody wants to speak ill of the dead, but I've met in the last 20 years probably about 10 people, 15 people that knew OJ, knew her.
Yeah.
And one of the things that is common that everybody said about her was her attitude, how she treated people. I mean, she was nice to your friends, and she was probably nice usually to her husband, but if you weren't what she felt was on your level, you know, I'm not trying to speak ill of the dead, but I'm like, a personality like that, you don't know who she's pissed off.
I did read that
You don't know who
she
she is.
had a Hispanic maid, and or some kind of a maid that talked back to her, and she slapped her full across the face. I did read that.
There's a lot of stories like that, but I'm not trying to speak ill of the dead, but what I'm trying to say is just a normal life. You got
Yeah.
somebody like her, like OJ, who are in contact with lots of people.
Yeah, yeah.
You understand? I've heard some people say OJ was a great guy. I've also heard people that met him that thought he was a snobby SOB. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
I've heard that too.
You just don't know how
Just another human being.
I mean, people like that who meet so many people,
Yeah.
right?
And having to smile. And,
You know,
Right.
who do they rub the wrong way?
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
Some
yeah.
guy could have dated her a week earlier or a month
yeah,
earlier
yeah,
and is
yeah.
upset that
Yeah.
she doesn't want to date him
Yeah.
again. You know what I'm saying? I mean, there's so many things we don't know.
Yeah.
And the thing is, what we do know is this: physically, the guy would have to be a damn magician to be able to commit the crime, hide the evidence in that frame of time that he had. And that's what, to me, it was always the timing.
Well, I tell you, folks, that's why I wanted to bring this up. As you can see, there's a major divide. There's going to be a conversation for quite some time. And I hope people just don't get heart attacks just thinking about it.
And I apologize ahead of time if I'm ever in the same room with that low-life SOB Chris Darden. I am definitely going to lose my professionalism.
But
around
he's a
that guy.
brother.
Oh, my God.
Isn't he a brother? Isn't he black? He's
Oh,
black,
my
isn't he?
God.
Isn't he a brother, a friend of yours? You don't know this guy?
Mm.
Okay, all right, Fred. All right.
I mean, what an insult to humanity.
Well, as you can see, we're going to have quite a discussion. So please don't get all excited about this. Just continue to watch the Oregon Voters Digest. We got the news, boy. I tell you, we got the news.
So how about this chief of police situation?
Oh, that's why we got you here.
Okay, yeah.
Chief. Now remember that? You're the chief now. Come on now.
Well,
Talk about that. Give us a little background on this stuff.
Who do you support?
I don't know. They don't say they're not saying who the candidates are.
Well, isn't Mark DeLong running?
I believe he was running. He would be the one I would
Mark
support.
DeLong is
but
really a good
Mark
guy.
DeLong. Now, is he still on the force?
He's in Gresham on the
retired Portland
force.
police officer, and
Yeah.
he went to work for Gresham. So he's been a
He
cop
retired with Portland,
Long
full
time.
Well, I tell
pension,
you what,
and went to Gresham.
What do you think about the list of people there on the panel? I mean, it's very interesting.
Who's on the panel? Who's on the panel?
Oh gosh.
There's a woman from Lentz, the Lentz Association,
yeah, Lentz
right?
Association.
I think that's good. Finally,
It's a pretty broad. It's
Who represents the black community?
Oh, they got Richard Brown on there. which
Richard
I'm happy
Brown.
about. Richard
Interesting.
Brown's on there. That's very
What about
good.
the Hispanic community?
I forgot who. They got some people Hispanic.
What about the Asian community?
They got some Asian.
What about the Chinese community?
Well,
What about the Bruce
you know how
community?
you know how Portland is.
What about
But
the
no,
Voters
it's a-
Digest? What about Don?
I will say I was impressed. I mean, I've seen these committees over years be developed and everything.
Yeah.
They got Marsha with Maria Rubio is on there, but
yeah.
there's a couple of people on there that I know that just shouldn't even be anywhere near
Is that
this
right,
thing.
really?
But most of this committee is very good. This is probably the best committee of this nature. You know what I'm talking about? That I've seen the city put together. I'm kind of impressed. They got some very good names on there, very
The
good people
problem
on
is
there.
who are they thinking about? Because I know that most people aren't really that happy with Marshman. You know.
Well, you know, I think Marshman is doing a better job than he gets credit for, but I don't think in the wake of things that happened before him,
it's going to be tough.
I mean, I don't think he's going to be able to do it. But the thing is, what I don't like is they don't have people on there, and I talked about this on Facebook. They should have had Sam Sykes on there. I mean, Sam wants to be black so bad, they should have put him on there and represented the almost black folks. And then you could have put on that guy Gregory, was it McKelvey?
Gregory McKelvey.
I was absolutely blown
yeah,
away
yeah.
that he or Jesse
Yeah.
were not put on that.
yeah.
They would never put them on
Come
that
on.
panel.
Now. Why
No
couldn't they be
way.
on that
I can
panel?
understand Jesse because sometimes Jesse gets a little.
Yeah.
But McKelvey,
But
that,
lately, some things happened to him.
that blew me away. I mean, McKelvey gets on my nut because he likes to, partner up with violent people and gang members.
Yeah.
But the guy's got a lot of young people that he talks
He
to.
does relate to.
He is just
He's
very
doing really good work.
He's very inexperienced. Heart's in the right place.
And where's
Right.
Daryl?
I would
Where's
agree
Daryl?
with
very
that.
inexperienced.
They would never choose him.
This would be an excellent.
He's too young.
No, I was his age. I was his age when I was getting on committees like this. You understand what I'm talking about?
But you weren't heading Portland Resistance, which is a good organization, by the way.
Well, hold it. The thing is, that's a very why you want him on there. The thing is, you compare him to him and Jesse. I mean, Jesse is a wild. I like
He's a
Jesse.
wild card.
He's a wild card.
Yeah.
But
I like it. I
but
get it.
McKelvey is much more mature in this
He got a
area.
legal mind too.
You know what I mean?
He's an excellent communicator.
I would have expected Ted Wheeler or some of those white folks on city council to want to give a guy like McKelvey some experience.
yeah.
You hear something about? Because I think he would benefit from it. Plus, he's got this constituency. See, the thing is, most of the people on that committee don't have a constituency that is 1/10
Yeah.
of McKelvey's.
Of the issues that we talked
Well, no,
about.
but I mean 1/10
Yeah.
of McKelvey's. I mean, I was really thinking about this, going, everybody on here, okay, they make their decisions and they do. Who are they talking to? All of them, I bet, aren't talking to more than about 50 people unless they post something on their Facebook.
Okay.
But the thing is, a guy like McKelvey,
All right, you
he's
made
talking to
you made your point. Now,
hundreds of
what
people.
about Daryl Turner? Where is he in it? Where
He
does
is.
fit?
Yeah, Daryl's on it.
Daryl's on
Yeah,
it?
he's
There's
on
that.
it.
I'm not too happy about that.
Well, they've already picked his.
Yeah,
he's
but I
already
mean,
picked his person.
I do not think that union should have been involved picking their boss.
Huh?
I don't like that. I mean, I don't like that. I mean, when Donald Trump or Barack Obama or any president picks who's going to lead the army, do they go and ask the troops, "Hey, troops, which general should I pick?" you know what I'm talking about? I mean that.
Right, I get your point.
I mean, the same thing with the FBI. I mean, we're hiring a new FBI director. I guarantee you, the President Trump, and just like Barack Obama wouldn't have done it either, wouldn't have said, "Let's poll the leaders of the FBI and see which FBI director we want."
I think Daryl is very important. He's kind of like the assistant chief.
I'm.
He's like the assistant chief.
I think it's important
I mean,
he's on,
he
too.
basically runs the police force.
Daryl should, the police union should not be on that committee.
Oh no, they got to be on there. I mean, hey, he insisted.
I don't care if he
That's the first
insisted. If I
person
was mayor,
that's the
I
first
would have just
person that
sat
Ted
there.
probably- That's the first person
I
that Ted
mean,
probably said,
Daryl has
"There it
got
is."
really cute
I know
dimples.
you like Daryl.
I would have sat there and
Yeah,
go,
you like Daryl.
you know what?
like-
You're
like
never going to
Daryl?
meet my woman
You
with them
like-
dimples. Just keep, insisting in front of me. The more you insist,
Now,
the
you know
less
he was-
likely you'll meet any
he
woman I
was
care
Army.
about.
He was Army too.
Uh-huh.
He was very, I mean,
Yeah,
guys,
no.
guys got
I
some-
don't think the union, the police union, should be on
Okay,
there.
we got that
I think it
done.
sends a wrong
That's your
message to
deal.
the Portland police officers.
Daryl's got to be on that piece.
I
And by the way, and
Greg
right in front of it,
McKelvey, Greg McKelvey said that the union shouldn't be able to pick their boss.
okay,
I'm not
I
sure
mean,
whether-
obviously,
Well, I agree with that
obviously he's going to
too.
be making that statement, though. I mean, hey, come on, obviously going to make that
Hey,
statement.
they're getting ready to name the next commandant in the Marine Corps. I guarantee you, they're not going to the young Marines going, "Hey, Marines, who do you want to be the commandant?"
They do, you know that.
No, they
You're right.
don't.
Yeah, they do.
No,
Come on
they
now, give me a
don't.
break. Come on,
No, they
come on now.
don't.
How long you been in there?
You know?
Okay, let's get down to some more business aspect of it on that aspect of it. And by the way, I got to say kudos to Ted. I mean, hey, you know, he's OJT, and I know he's OJ on the job training right
Yes.
now, and that's a tough nut to be able to say I'm going to do OJT because he's got the whole thing. He's doing the
Yeah.
whole thing.
Well, no, he's probably one of the most capable.
No,
people
not
we've
yet.
elected
No.
for mayor.
He's OJTing. He's still OJTing. I mean, I'll be right up front with you.
He
He's
did a
getting
great
there.
job at county. Did a great job at
What?
treasury.
What? You got to be kidding
Ted
me.
Wheeler?
Where'd you come from?
Ted Wheeler?
Did great job at county. What happened to
What?
huh? Wapato. What happened to Wapato?
He had nothing to do with that.
What do you mean? He was,
Exactly.
he was
That-
chair. He was chair.
No, that was inflicted on him.
Oh no! Ain't no inflicted. He's chair. He was chair for 4 years. He could have solved that problem overnight. Now we're selling it for $5 million.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it
Now
is.
that's the bigger issue. I'm surprised
is.
there's more people not upset about that.
Total
I mean, I
total loss,
was
isn't it?
watching that Brittany Justo show.
Oh, yeah,
He was talking about
yeah,
eventually shutting down Inverness
Yeah.
and switching everything to
Yeah,
Wapato.
it
Made total
perfect.
sense.
It was perfect. It was perfect.
Made
Never
total
happened.
sense.
They could still do it.
I
They
know,
could
but
still do it today.
The problem is that would be a huge endeavor.
It never happened.
It would be a huge endeavor, and people
It's
would
a
fight
ja-
it.
It's a jail.
Yeah,
It's
people
a
would
jail.
fight
It
it.
can't be
It'll
that
jail.
hard.
You know. By the way, they only built 500 beds to begin with. That was slated for 2,000 beds.
Yeah.
It was just a natural, and all the construction, all the infrastructure is already there.
Yeah, I still feel bad that we're not using Wapato though. Now that's that it's there and all.
Yeah,
For
yeah.
to addressing this homeless issue.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's embarrassing
I-
for
I-
the city
you
of
know-
Portland.
Oh yeah.
Well, no, it's a county. It's owned by the county.
Right.
And
The
the
county.
city of Portland gets blamed for it a lot,
Right.
and the county keeps their mouth shut because they don't want the people yelling at them.
Right.
But really, it's the county, and the county. I wish the county would rethink.
Well, and all
Wapato.
well, think about it now. The county and the city just merged. You know that, don't you? They merged this last time around.
No, they didn't.
Yes, they did.
How do they merge?
Huh? Ted was a chair at one point in time.
Oh yeah.
So they're all buddy.
I think we've had that happen 3 or 4 times
They've already
already.
merged. They've already merged. I mean, if you talk to Ted, you're talking
Yeah.
to Deborah, right?
I think
We
that's
talked to
already.
Debbie,
I
talked
think
to-
that's already happened 2 or 3 times in
Come
Portland
on
history.
now, come on now. They've already merged.
Yeah.
But I'm going to be
point.
I'm putting a proposal in.
What?
Huh?
To get Wapato?
Yeah, we're going to buy it.
Okay, good.
I mean, I think it'd be a good idea. We're going to buy it. I mean, why not?
Right.
Yeah, well, citizens want to buy it. You know, we want to buy it for $5 million. In fact, someone just said we want 5,000 homes. I mean, why can't you just let us have Wapato? We can do something with it. And I know we can
Well,
get those.
what are you gonna do with it?
Well, immediately, the first thing we'll do, we're going to put homeless in there overnight. I know some folks in the leadership in that particular arena that has no problem with it. The politics is keeping those folks from going on over there. That's what it is. And the money.
But where are you gonna get the money to put the homeless in?
No, don't worry about that.
Don't worry about
The
that.
value is there. You're the realtor. You're going to give me the appraisal on the deal, and we'll be able to get the money with the banks. No problem. We can raise that money overnight.
Okay.
I mean, the value of the property is more than $5 million. Come on now.
Yeah, but how are you gonna generate income with it?
Don't worry about that. We got that squared away.
Okay.
We'll lease out some of the beds to the county, to the city. I mean, to the feds. I mean,
I see what you're talking about.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? No, it's there.
Yeah.
It's there. But anyway.
I can see there's some way to maybe generate some income with it, but God, that's a great opportunity. I know the biggest problem is like what Justo said
yeah,
was,
Bernie, he understood what
was so far away from services and stuff. But people are tired of seeing homeless people in their parks,
Oh, yeah.
in their neighborhoods, in their alleys. They're just tired. I mean, I was telling people the other day, some people were upset about the folks over in Lowerhurst
Yeah.
who are upset with the camping in the park. And I go, the last time I was at the park, camping at the park, I was there at about, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, got to watch a guy decide, nature calls.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know if my daughter...
That's acceptable.
I used to take my daughter to that park.
That's acceptable.
And I don't know...
I used to take my daughter to that
how
park,
comfortable
too.
I would be,
No.
with my little 3-4-year-old daughter when she was 3 or 4,
Right.
taking her to that park and having some guy, grown man, basically exposing himself to relieve himself.
Yeah.
And these guys, if you live in Lower Hurst, you spend anywhere between $5,000 to $25,000 a year in property taxes just to live over there, not counting any mortgages or anything like that. I think the tax dollars, I think people who live in Lower Hurst deserve a little bit more, because guess what? Most of them, if they decided to walk across the street and go into Lower Hurst Park and take a leak or take a dump in the park that they basically pay for, they would go to jail.
Right.
You understand? They would go to jail.
Right.
Well, the biggest problem, and all due respect, Fred, the biggest problem is we're asking the homeless, what do you think we should do? The bottom line, you look at a situation and say, okay, this is how we're going to do this thing.
Yeah.
A lot of them are concerned about, well, what about my clothes? I get picked up, you know what I mean? And someone has to take care of my clothes. Those clothes are not fit to be worn. They don't wear those clothes when they get the hell out of jail. You know what I mean? They throw the shit up on the side. Excuse me. They throw that stuff on the side aspect of it. They could easily work a deal out with Goodwill, right? Go down to Goodwill, give them a voucher, go down there and pick up the deal. And make sure you get the voucher and they get clothes, not booze.
Right,
'Cause
right.
that's exactly what they would do. You know what I mean? And then maybe have a shower or something that Goodwill would put there, and they take a shower or something, a bath or whatever. But they're clean once they get out of jail.
If Wapato worked as a homeless shelter, you'd have to hire staff to do, the first thing would be screenings, because you wouldn't want anyone actively drinking or using.
Oh, no, they wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
And see,
Not under my
and I'm a hard case.
No,
I wouldn't want anybody drinking, whatever like that. But sex offenders, we got a huge population of sex offenders who are homeless in Portland.
Yeah.
And most of these sex offenders that are homeless in Portland, they're not from Oregon.
Yep.
They
Right.
are sex offenders from other markets that are escaping the oppression that
Right.
sex offenders face in that market.
And they're coming here and they're
they're-
lying about their criminal history,
Correct.
and they're preying on young teenage
And then
girls.
and then over
and
here,
boys.
the issue, like one guy told me straight up, we know. He says, I came here from Florida. People know in Florida, if you're homeless and you're a sex offender, Oregon is a safe place to go.
Yeah.
Because cops don't bug you as much as long as you are along the I-5 corridor.
Right.
When you're outside the I-5 corridor, they're mean. So in other words, they're saying the cops in Bend and LeGrand, they're mean. The cops in Portland and Salem and Eugene, they're more friendly.
Right, more accepting.
More accepting.
Yeah.
In other words, they don't bother them as much.
Yeah, but the bottom line is their hands are tied. You know what I mean? There's politics there too. You got the mayor on one side, and then you got the police on one side,
Yeah.
and they're not going to do. They're not going to bend over, if you will, to do more for Ted at this point in time.
Yeah.
And
Maybe-
Ted
maybe
needs
they-
the cops?
he needs to make some changes, because
To the cops?
Yeah, their hands are tied in a lot of
Yeah,
respects, and they need
exactly.
to be allowed to do their job.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just.
But
Well-
my point is that no one's there making the point about saying, okay, fine, this is what we're going to do.
Well, I agree, but
Yeah.
see, the problem is the way the media, the Oregonian, the Willamette Week writes about homelessness is pathetic.
Yeah.
That's why, I tell people I can't wait till one of these guys have one of their kids
Right.
harmed by one of these
Right.
people. Now, not all people who are homeless are criminals. That's the
Right.
problem. I tell everybody about half are straight up criminals, about
Right.
half aren't.
Road warriors.
And I said the ones that
Road
aren't,
warriors.
services are being distracted and getting to them because we got these other people who don't deserve it. I don't believe a criminal deserves anything. They don't deserve anything. They deserve a jail cell. They deserve a pounding, whatever you want to call it. They don't deserve. They shouldn't be here. But you got people who are the working poor who have slid off on the
Right.
side. You
Lost their jobs.
You got
Right.
mental health
Oh, yeah.
issues.
Oh, yeah.
People with mental
Oh, yeah.
health issues.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, and a lot of the services meant for them
Right.
is being eaten up
Yeah.
by people
Yeah,
who are
yeah.
basically undesirables.
Right.
And I tell anybody who's a criminal, especially have a history of violent criminal, you're an undesirable.
But that's one major problem that we're having on that whole issue of home. They've not been vetted. They've not vetted that whole issue.
Well, the cops are vetting them as they are approaching
I
it.
said they've not done it. I mean, don't be wrong. The cops know what's going on.
Yeah.
They know what to do and what not to do aspect of it. But not of but they're in the position that they're waiting to be told what to do.
Right.
But the entities over here that are supposed to be basically given, they're not giving them that information.
Correct.
Okay, because I see these guys riding around in their cars and this, that, and the other, and say, "Hey, Bruce, hey, we're just doing what we're told."
Well, that's how I learned about how many sex offenders there were. I mean, I've gone on God
talked
knows
to
how
the
many ride-alongs,
Yeah.
and I've talked to cops.
Yeah.
And I've had cops tell me, they say, yeah, they're going to lie and tell you who they are.
Oh yeah.
Then we take them down to the Justice Center.
Right.
Yeah.
Find out who they are. Right.
And he goes, he says, and the state they're from. I said, aren't they supposed to stay in the state they're from when they're registered? Or he says, Fred, when a sex offender leaves our state, we don't go asking for them to come back.
No. Fred,
nobody.
We give them a ticket out of town.
Yeah, nobody.
Every city is doing the same thing.
We get some of these high-level predatory sex offenders who can't make it in the market that they've offended in,
Right.
so they come out here, right? That state does not care.
Yeah.
Right.
They're not going to do an extradition form unless there's a pending case.
Right,
They're
right.
not going to do an extradition form. They're our problem, when they're here. And like I told people, I said, those guys, they're eating up food for people who are we set aside for hardworking people who can't afford a place to live.
Yeah.
We got people out there who are living in their cars because they can afford rent,
And I
but
think
they can't afford the money
That's right.
to pay up front
That's right.
to get into a home.
I think there's probably also the element of those offenders coming to Oregon because they want to reoffend. It's easy pickings over here.
Well, yeah, because our cops
because we
are-
have so many homeless teenagers on
Exactly.
the streets.
Yeah.
And they want those homeless kids. They want homeless girls and homeless boys.
What I keep hearing over and over is how nice, when I talk, because I've probably talked to about 100 or more homeless people, and some of these guys I've filmed over the last 6 months, just talking to them, wanting to know where you're from, why you're here.
Yeah, why you doing what
And a couple of them, after a while, they don't always admit it. I've gotten a couple to admit that they were sex offenders. I've gotten a couple, but the thing is, whether they're sex offenders or not, how often they say cops in Portland are much nicer
Sure.
than where I'm from.
Sure.
Or where I've been.
Right.
Cops don't hassle you as much. People are more giving here.
Sure.
And I go, they're just taking a lot of these people. I'm not talking about the hardworking people. I'm not talking about the mentally challenged people, but the criminals. And there is a sizable population of criminals in that group. They're taking advantage of us. And then we get the drug users, and that brings crime too.
Right.
So think about it. If you're drug dealing, we call it sex offending SOB from Texas, is it better to be in Dallas and be a drug dealing sex offending SOB in Dallas, or to come to Portland, Oregon,
Right.
deal your drugs, be a sex offender?
Right.
You understand? I mean, these guys that are out there that are sleeping in our parks, that we take our kids to, not all of them are nice people.
Right.
Not all of them are nice.
Well, then again, we're talking about this particular issue, but at the same time, again, you got Ted's got to make that decision. It's going to be interesting to see who's going to be selected as chief,
Yeah.
and then what is his role going to be? Is he going to be mayor? Is he going to be the guy calling the shots? Or if it's going to go, it's going right up front with him. I mean, Daryl's pretty well made the unions have already made the statement who they wanted right off the bat. They've made that statement.
That guy would be the first guy off the list.
No, but I'm just saying.
Who is it?
Whoever it is, I don't know who it is. I don't need to know.
No, who's the guy that Ted has now?
Marshman?
Yeah, Marshman. They made the point.
Oh,
Said,
yeah.
They made that point right away. Hey, he's the best guy. You can't get rid of him.
No, I'd keep Marchman for other reasons, but I wouldn't keep him because the Portland police said so. I think he's a great cop. I think he's a great community guy.
Assistant chief, maybe?
What, Marshman? No, I think he's been
What I've
great.
heard about Marshman from some people that really know is that he's not very well liked among the rank and file at all.
No, but that's
what
not.
I've
But that's
heard.
not what Daryl said.
That's not what I've heard.
No, that's not what I've heard.
But I will say
I've heard
this.
it from other people.
I
not
would
Daryl.
just say this. Since Derek Foxworth, who has been a better cop? Matter of fact, in the last 30 years, who's been a better police chief?
Well,
I mean.
Well, number one, I think,
Potter?
the whole Derek Foxworth
Tom
thing was
did.
ridiculous
Oh, it
because
was
he never
ridiculous.
should have been fired.
Should have never been fired.
Yeah, and it was completely racist.
But the thing is with, I can't think of anybody. I mean, Kroger, come on.
Yeah, I know.
You understand?
Because when he came to Portland,
Sizer?
all he did was make Portland Police Bureau more militarized than
Correct.
it was before.
Correct.
And he didn't do very much.
Yeah, I mean, I think Marshman
Kroger.
is a breath of fresh air. I'm not saying that it's not time to change. Up until Chief Moose, we used to only have, chiefs for 2 or 3 years,
I know.
and they're out.
Mm-hmm.
Then Chief Moose came in and decided he wanted to make it a 20-year commitment till he got his behind out of here, thank God. But
Guess who's back in town?
he is. Moose's?
Moose and his wife.
Did they move here?
No,
Good.
they're back in town.
Well, hopefully they
what?
leave. They leave soon.
Don't you look at
Hopefully
Facebook?
they leave soon.
For a visit, I guess.
Moose
I don't know.
and his wife are both back in town.
Hopefully.
We're back
That's
in
nice.
town.
They're
They're
visiting
in
family
town,
and friends.
How you doing, Charles? Come on the show.
No, you don't want
Is
Charles
he on the
this
panel?
show.
Is he on the panel?
You don't want
No,
Charles.
hey, I mean, hey, this guy's got
my
background.
God.
He's written books. He's written
fact-
books. Give me a break. I mean,
The
she's a
fact that
lawyer.
they're in town
Could be
Sure.
when they're
Could
looking
be.
for a new chief.
That's what I'm saying. Could be.
Significant.
That could be. Oh, wow.
Oh, did you miss that?
I missed that. Wow.
Oh my God! If Ted Wheeler is talking
Hey, man. Hey.
to Moose
That's my
about
choice.
Chief,
That's my choice.
we're gonna
boy.
end up with a
I
Klan
tell you,
member for sure.
I remember Moose way back when. In fact, he's been the only chief's been on my show for quite some time.
Yeah.
And he was an awesome kind of a guy. How you doing? How you doing?
I totally disagree.
Good guy.
I totally disagree.
You like this guy?
No,
He'll make you
Not even a little bit.
He'll give you committees.
Not even a
position or
little
something.
bit.
Put you on a committee or something or whatever.
no,
Okay.
no.
good.
It offends me that him and his wife are back in Portland.
Okay. Let's talk about our little protesting groups we got out there. What do you think about our protesting? Look like things have quieted down a bit, if you will.
Yeah, a
It's
little
all
bit.
quiet down. I mean, how's downtown right now? It looks pretty
All
good.
tired,
Yeah.
Bruce.
Huh?
Well,
They're all tired.
Jesse Swansford doesn't live in Portland anymore.
No.
Wait, Jesse doesn't live in
Yeah, and then Gregory, graduated from college finally. So
No, he didn't graduate from
didn't
college.
graduate?
He graduated from law school.
from law school.
He graduated from college a few years
Yeah,
ago.
so now he's probably busy
Now he
on,
graduated
on,
from law
on,
school.
on his bar. He can't take a chance in getting arrested while he's trying to pass the bar. So, it's gonna be quiet for a little bit.
You think he's going to run for office? I mean, he should. What do you think?
Oh, Gregory should.
Absolutely.
Eventually.
When he gets a little older, he's too
Yeah.
young for it right now.
I agree.
What about
That's why I'm
Kim?
surprised Ted didn't put him on that committee.
Ah, okay.
I thought it would have been a great.
Well, guess what? They don't gel. They don't
I'll
gel.
tell you
Well, no,
why
they-
he didn't. He didn't do it because it would have pissed off people at PPB. That's why
Well,
he didn't
so
do
what?
it.
So what?
Exactly.
But
But-
Ted's making that decision. You know what I mean? You have
But
to
I don't think
understand.
he wants to offend anyone at PPB. 'Cause
No.
I think he's a little intimidated by them.
He should not
right?
be.
Right?
He should.
But he is.
But
Man's
Let's
the mayor.
face it.
He's the mayor. He's the mayor.
he should not be. I like Ted. I don't want to come across I don't like Ted, but that's one of the reasons why it's hard for me to fight. Not fight, but vote for somebody I don't think's ever been in a fight. I mean, I was telling some people the other day, I bet Ted Wheeler has never been like in a real fight in his whole life.
A physical fight.
Like a physical fight.
Come on.
Like combat.
Like combat.
Wasn't he in the service? Wasn't he in the?
No, he wasn't in the service.
I know he wasn't in the Marine Corps.
No, because you can't be worried about people like the Portland Police Bureau being pissed off at you doing what you think is right for the city.
Yeah.
I mean, they work
Do you
for
really
the
think
city.
he's going to go up against some of those powerful sergeants and lieutenants and captains?
Well, what's powerful? They're
He's
powerful
doing it-
because he allows them to keep their job.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm talking about? They are powerful.
What did you just
The-
say?
Yeah, but
you
wait a minute.
said
He's
you
making some
don't think he's
decisions
ever
making.
been in a fight.
That's what I'm
right?
talking about. That's why
Okay.
he's allowing them to keep their job. If some sergeant
Come on now.
is
Come on.
that
Come on,
worked
Fred.
for me in the
Fred,
Portland
no,
Police
come on, Fred.
is going to tell me they're going to cause hell because they don't like a decision I make, I'm telling them, call your wife and tell you, don't let your ass come to work tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I'm going to hold her
But they're
accountable.
probably not going to tell anybody anything before they do what they want to do.
And if I felt they were doing something, I knock on the door and say, woman, you let your man come to work again. I'm going to come here and give you a good old-fashioned Muhammad Ali
Oh, Fred,
tongue
the city
lashing.
commissioner.
Tongue lashing.
Fred should go for one of those
These
positions. right?
people.
Fred,
No.
Fred, come on, Fred. Let's talk
No,
together.
I know you're getting upset at what I'm trying to communicate. What I'm trying to communicate
He's
is
the
this,
mayor. He's
is
OJ10.
He's the mayor.
He's OJ10.
He's the
right
mayor.
now.
He's
the mayor.
elected by the people.
Yeah, but
he's supposed to do what he thinks is best for the people. And if somebody that worked for the city disagrees, well, that's too bad.
He has the power of transfer. If
You know
I
what
don't
I mean?
like what
It's
you're
too
saying,
bad.
Captain,
There you go.
tomorrow you're downtown.
That's right.
On the telephone
it's
reporting
right.
unit.
That's right.
But
That's right.
how
That's
often
right.
does
No.
that happen? Not very
Not
often.
enough.
You know why?
It
Because
used to
most
happen.
mayors.
You remember how the Bud Clark fired the first police chief he had?
Oh, yeah.
Right, but
Read
see,
my
that's,
Remember that?
But
I remember that
that's
one.
different, and I'll tell you why.
Why is it different?
It's
All right,
different.
now,
I'll
hold
tell
up a
you
little
why.
bit. Hold up,
Because
one at a
I
time
know
here.
Bud Clark. Bud Clark was a family friend.
Let's get
His
pretty
daughter
young,
Rachel and I grew up together. Bud Clark today is a tougher person in every respect than Ted Wheeler.
Oh, yeah.
Well, but Clark's a Marine, but
There you
Clark's
go.
been in fights.
He's a Marine.
Right.
And when sergeants and
Yeah.
lieutenants
So he didn't
and
have-
chiefs
he didn't have a
tried to push
problem.
him around,
All right, guys.
what happened to them?
All right,
He
enough.
fired Jim Davis. He didn't have a problem firing Jim Davis.
All right, enough.
And it wasn't
enough,
just Jim Davis.
Enough.
He informed
Enough.
a few other
Look,
people
do you-
for the
Marine?
Portland Police
Hey,
that
Marine?
they may want to retire.
Hold on for a
Right,
minute.
right.
Hold on for a minute. Okay. Okay. Let's since we're already on the subject of this. So how do you, 1 to 10? How do you rate Ted?
So far,
Not you.
Okay.
Start with you.
Me? Okay.
1 to 10.
I think he's highly intelligent. I think he's really competent in a lot of ways. I think the Portland Police Bureau is going to be his biggest problem and his biggest issue. I think he's intimidated by the cops in the upper command. That's what I think.
Okay.
That's what I think. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's what I
okay.
think.
And what do you think? What his solution should be in regards to his position on the cop?
He needs good advisors.
Good
He
advisors.
needs good advisors that know police work, that have a history with police work.
But he got 4 commissioners. He got 4 commissioners there sitting there for one.
They got their own committees.
They don't really have any experience
Yeah.
with law enforcement. He needs somebody that can tell him about police culture, that can show him how to communicate with cops. Yeah.
Okay.
He needs good advisors, and I don't
1
think.
to 10. How do you rate him? How do you rate him as being mayor? How do you
Ted
rate him as
Wheeler.
being? How do you rate him as being mayor right now? 1 to 10. 1
Me?
to 10. 10
1
is
to
the high.
10. 6.5.
6.5. 6.5.
Yeah.
Don, you're the cop.
I think that he's over his head in what he's doing. I think that the on-the-job training that you talk about is going to be really tough on him because he does not control the police department and he doesn't know how.
Okay.
I would agree with
And until somebody decides to control the police department, then the police department will run the city. I don't think Wheeler's got the balls to do that.
So your point is that the union is still, police department is still running
The
the city.
union still runs the city.
that. Okay, and 1 to 10.
1 to 10.
1 to 10. I don't know. Go back and start over again.
Huh?
1 to
I think
10.
it's 1 to 10.
Give me
7.
7?
He's a
Oh,
7.
you give him a 7. Oh,
I
you
guess
can
it's
say
seven.
you gave him
I
more
said
than
6.5.
She gave 6.5. You give him 7. Okay.
Okay.
I
now-
go
Okay,
higher.
come on,
I think
what
he's
you
doing
doing?
8. I think he's a solid 8.
Why you do 8
Solid
before
8?
you say? Well, give me the explanation first.
I give him
something.
solid 8. As a mayor, I think he's doing very good so far. I mean, I don't like what he did on rent control and stuff like that. I think that was just stupid.
I agree with that.
That was racist. That was wrong.
Yeah.
But as overall, he's doing fine. And the only thing I am worried about with him with the police at all is kind of what we've been talking about here, because I've been hearing this from other people, that the police union is pushing him around.
Right.
And I just do not believe in any elected official being pushed around by any employee. Period. I think they should listen to them. I think they should be mindful of them, and of course respect their service, because it is a service. But at the end of the day, they're elected to lead and make a decision representing the values of the people of Portland. And we've got enough people we elect right now who make decisions every day that are not based on the values of the people that elected them.
Right.
And I'm just done with it. And I hope that to me that's where he needs to improve. If that's an issue, he needs to get over it. Most of our best mayors, the mayors that we look back and we like the most, including, well, I'm not going to say
You're
we
on
like
this
the
other
most,
subject,
but
right?
Goldschmidt, what I'm saying is they all knew how to handle the police.
Right.
And they all
That's right, yeah.
dealt with the Portland police from a position of strength. There is only one
Right.
chief. There's only one mayor. There's only one, the buck stops with me.
right.
Now I'm going to listen to you. I'm not
Who
saying...
is that?
Well, no, that's all.
Generally speaking.
Generally speaking, the best mayors. That's how they approach the police.
Okay.
Vera Katz. The only person Vera Katz let push her around was Chief Moose, and the only reason he got away with it is every time she came close to giving him what he deserved, he'd say, "If you do it, I'm going to hold a press conference and talk about how racist you are." You know what I'm talking about?
I would agree with that, because I saw her once in Delphina's back in 1992, and she was being interviewed by a journalist, and man, she was so in charge. And the guy was apologizing and begging for an interview, and she was in charge.
When I ran for office the last time, I got to see her, spend some good time with her, talking about all the great work she did fighting gangs when she was mayor. She gave me like an hour and a half, 2 hours of her time. And we were at this coffee shop in the Park Blocks, not Starbucks, but one close to there. And we were sitting at a table, little old woman, I think she's like
Right.
80.
Keep going now, 'cause we got to get through them.
Sitting at the end of the table, and she's commanding not just me, Fred Sid here, but as people
Right.
were walking by, hey, can't you understand that I'm not as big as you? why did you bump an old lady like me? Would you stand away a little bit? I mean, she was like
Yeah.
in charge.
Yeah.
You know,
And
but
severe.
health-wise, she wasn't doing very well. But spirit, very strong. But
Yeah.
what I'm getting to is the whole time I've ever known Vera, the buck always stopped with her. She was always the boss.
Right.
And that's pretty much how you have to be when you're the mayor, or to me, a city commissioner,
Okay.
when
That's
you're
enough.
dealing with
That's
your
enough.
people.
You got 8. You said 7, 6.5, right?
6.5.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, solid 8. I think you're being.
All right, good. Okay. And then the last thing I want to maybe throw out on the table, but Ron Herndon is back in town. Ron Herndon is back here in town, and I'm glad he's back at the table. You know, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, he should run for office. Beforehand, he didn't run. He should have ran that first time around. They wouldn't have taken him out of this city, because that's one of the problems with reference to leadership in the black community. What happens is that they'll pick him, maybe have them run for state representative, get him out of town. You got me? Or if not that, they'll create a program, if you will. They take a national. Well, he's back now, and he's still very much involved in the Head Start aspect of it. And then he just had a meeting with it wasn't 200 black men. It was just a group of people, majority of which were black, and he made certain demands about it, which I thought was interesting. He wanted 5,000 housing for black folks, and he wanted to do the other thing about the kids, and he wanted Jefferson High School. He wanted them to tear that down, et cetera, et cetera. But those are the two major ones, because especially the bond thing was over. I mean, I wish he had jumped up beforehand. But like I say, things happen. But the fact he is back in town, and I really appreciate him being at the table aspect of it. You got to get more young folks involved in the process.
He's a tough, smart leader of color, and we need him in Portland.
Okay, good.
You know.
What do you think, Don?
I don't think we need him in Portland.
Wait a minute.
I don't know him.
You don't know him?
Yeah.
Okay, good. What do you
I don't think we need him in Portland.
Why is that?
Oh, I don't want to get into all the everythings, but I'll just say this: what your average person, black or white, what has Ron done in black leadership that has touched you?
Well, maybe he's changed.
I mean,
Maybe
when
he's
I
changed,
think
Fred.
of Matt
maybe,
Dishman,
maybe he's changed.
I can think of something that to this day touches me.
I got 1 minute.
When I
Come on,
think of
real quick.
of Dr. Unthink, I can think of 3 or 4 things that Dr. Unthink did that touches me, touches Ron, touches everybody. When I think about Ron, I can't think of anything that was successful that has touched the people of Portland.
But remember,
in any degree.
you remember his name, so I mean, he's done something.
Well,
He's got,
I remember Charles Manson's name too.
Jeez,
Yeah.
You could.
And Ross Barnett.
You couldn't count.
Ross Barnett, I remember his name.
Ross Barnett.
Head Klan member,
Oh,
Mississippi. There's a lot of names I remember. That doesn't mean anything.
You wouldn't compare Ron with
No, I
Ross
wouldn't
Barnett.
compare him to
Come
that.
on now.
No.
Let's be fair to
I
this
would
guy.
not compare him to a Klan member, but I will just say in general.
Okay.
I'm 52 years old. I grew up here. There's nothing he's done that I feel.
Okay. Well, hey, look like we've had a very exciting time. We made some predictions. It'll be interesting, and I've got a prize for whoever gets the prize. And, okay, we can final with that, please. Thanks very much, folks. It's been just great. All right, Sheriff. Take care. Freddie, take care. Teresa, take care. And you folks, hey, vote next time around, please. We need leadership. Have a good one. Take care. We'll see you next week.